Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, wherever you are. It's obviously May 14th, 2026, and you are listening to the Mind of Sai Marie. Today, we are heading into the deep woods to discuss the first book in the Oddish Quester series, The Bigfoot Case. Joining me is the critically acclaimed children's author, S.A. Schneider, who is taking his storytelling in a thrilling new direction. S.A., it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Hi, it's good to meet you. Good to be here.
So I have to start with your bio, which you mentioned you have a wolf.
Yes.
This feels like the ultimate writer's companion for someone crafting middle grade fantasy. So
Absolutely. That's what I thought. Everybody loves the wolf. It's my hook. His name is Hunter. He is a wolf. He's a hybrid. He's 75% loose wolf. He's a really good boy. I do talks to students and kids quite often about how wolves are not the way we portray them in most stories. They're not evil, sinister villains. And I use Hunter as the example that he's just a goofy boy. He loves his family. But he's still wolf. That if I give him a bone and then try and take the bone, he will growl at me. So he's a pretty good boy. He looks huge when he's all winter coat. He's all big and fluffy. But he's about 120 pounds. So he's a good sized dog.
it's like a beautiful boy. So how does that daily connection to the wild influence your creative process and the way you envision the creatures in your books?
Well, I tell everybody that Hunter actually comes up with all the stories and tells me, but because he can't hold a pencil, I get to write them down and take credit. The kids usually love that. But I've always been out in the woods, outdoors. I camped just about every single month when I was growing up through Scouts. I still camp to this day when I go to different events for a weekend. I usually try and look for a campground. And when I say camp, I'm talking I still take a tent. If I can, I try and get wilderness, but there's not any real wilderness camping left. At least not close to the events. But in the book, The Oddish Quester, I did include Hunter, and I tried to capture his real essence, I guess you could say, how he's a protector of the family, he's a companion, but he's not something to be afraid of. And I use that in the Oddish Quester books a lot.
So, since that sounds like you really have a lot of fun things to work with, since your Lego and action figure days, you've been crafting worlds and the stories within them. Moving from that kind of tactile play to professional authorship is a big leap. At what point did the Oddish Quester siblings stop being an idea and start becoming a series you knew you had to write?
So I would push back a bit that it's not that big of a leap, actually. That if you have imagination while building Lego creations and playing with action figures or anything like that, that skill is still the imagination skill to use as an adult when coming up with books to write the scenes, write what happens. The joke is many authors will tell you, in a question and answer session, one of the questions everybody asks, "Oh my gosh, where do you get your ideas?" And to an author, it's a little astounding because it's like, where don't we get our ideas? Every author I've ever talked with kind of chuckles at that because we always have more ideas than we write. And so it just shows me that the people who don't understand where those ideas come from may not be able to use their imagination, may not have continued using their imagination into adulthood. So the writing aspect is not that different from the days of playing with Lego. It's still using your imagination. Just as now more socially accepted to be a writer than to play with Legos when you're an adult.
I agree with that. Also, being a writer, same types of things, and playing with action figures and Barbie dolls when I was a kid, making up all kinds of stories was where a lot of my creativity came from. So I totally agree with what you said. So in the Bigfoot case, we follow these siblings as they search for a missing investigator named Taylor. You blended cryptid lore with the Men in Black style mystery. What was the inspiration behind creating a world where Bigfoot is the primary suspect, and how did you approach making that feel real for your readers?
So I've been involved in that community. When my son was younger, he was interested in cryptids. And we
to a
went to a
lot of
lot of
different
different
events.
events,
And
and
what
what
he
we
ended up
ended up
doing
doing.
was he wrote a book and he went to these events and did talks. So we were there a lot as a family and met a lot of people. So when I started, I had been writing Christmas stories for all the kids. And those stories involved all the kids and our interest, pop culture and things like that. So the cryptid thing became part of it. And I just took all the kids and made them characters and put us in an environment. So those short stories are what's the basis for the Oddish Quester is what I'm building. And it's easy to do because I just kind of picture the cartoon version of all the kids and I gave them all different abilities and skills. And, it's fictionalized versions of people. Stan Gordon, who is in the Oddish Quester, he is one of the main influences my son had in growing up on the talking and research and things like that. And he's a real person. He really exists. Has a hotline. He's been doing it for almost 60 years. So all of that is kind of based on real life. And some of the cases that Stan talks about is things that are in the book. I may have, fudged them a little bit just for the fictional aspect, but it's all based on that. So this was one of the easiest things for me to write because I can picture all of it. And as a family, we've talked about it and done these things in ways. So that's where it all kind of came together for me.
I love that family affair kind of. So you actually include the legendary investigator Stan Gordon, like you were saying. So in this story, this is kind of a figure that helps aid the siblings. Tell us about the importance of merging real world cryptid history with your fictional arcane expeditions.
Part of
Part of
my other goal is to get kids interested in the field of cryptozoology, to get kids interested in more than just, oh, Bigfoot doesn't exist, or oh, that's stupid, but really like, wow, what if he really does exist? Let's go out in the woods and look for him. And getting kids out in the woods, getting kids out to do things, getting kids to say, well, I want to research this. That's what my son did. We actually had a subscription to newspaper.com and he looked up old newspaper articles of reports of Bigfoot going back into the. So different kids can be interested in different aspects of this. Some of them may watch a TV show and then want to go to some of these events and meet some of these people that have been on TV. I've met multiple people that have been on TV on different shows. And I've even emailed a couple and talked to a couple outside of the show. So it's not a huge world and everybody's really friendly in it, but I'm using it as the vehicle to get kids to use their imaginations. That's my more wide reaching goal, is to inspire kids to use their imaginations and to find interest in the world. It doesn't always have to be just, I have to go to school and kill myself so I can go to college and kill myself so I can get a job and kill myself. There can be wonder and magic in the world. And that's what this is, the vehicle trying to do. I also do video game classes with kids with the same type of goals to get kids to go, you mean this fun video game I'm playing that I can learn to create one? And then their brains take off and like, well, I want to do a game that does this and does this. And it gets their imaginations going. So those are the two vehicles I'm using to spark that in kids and to enhance that and get them to see the world differently. And sometimes their parents to see that, the world can be full of Bigfoot and the world can be playing video games and can still be a good world.
I agree with that. Having had a Bigfoot or two experience in being from the Pacific Northwest, it's definitely an interesting field to at least give some thought and research, even if it is just keeping your mind open to see what might be out there, because there's so many things we still haven't discovered and you never know.
Exactly.
So you also work with kids to show them how storytelling in video games works, specifically teaching them how to write those nonlinear experiences. I'm curious how that interactive logic helps you keep the stakes high and the adventure pulse pounding for your middle grade readers.
So I'm a computer developer by day. That's my day job, IT computer development. So when I thought about, I was at a conference and everybody was hearing these great speakers and they were all like, oh, that's what I got to do. Oh, that's what I got to do. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, if everybody here switches and does the exact same things that the speakers are doing, then everybody's going to be doing the same thing. It won't work for half of us. And it was just, wasn't making sense to me. And I realized what we need to do is figure out how to take what the speakers are telling us and get that to fit our brand, our authorship, our books. And it clicked with me. I said, oh my gosh, I'm a storyteller and there's stories in video games and I'm a computer guy. So that all fits together. So again, making computer games is still that little kid, is still that Lego building. I mean, if you've ever played Minecraft, that's literally what Minecraft is. But when you get down into the weeds of making a video game, it's even more so. What can you imagine? Then what's the challenge to get it to work right? And kids play video games so much and quite often. And it's one of the fastest growing industries in the world. It's one of the biggest industries in the world. I tell parents always, we push our kids to go to football practice, baseball practice, basketball practice. We buy balls, we buy uniforms, we drive, we take them. Whereas the majority of those kids will never play pro ball, and only some of them may play college level ball. But video games is even bigger than football and baseball put together, and there's more job opportunities. There's a greater chance those kids that study making video games now will have the ability to make a professional career out of it. So it's that sparking them again. It's that imagination of what can I do with a video game? And I see it in the classes. I can really tell the kids that it clicks with. They're like, oh my gosh, these tools are easy to use. I can make a video game, because they will sit there and make a game. A lot of the kids during class are like, and they go over to the arcade side and start playing games. That's fine. It's not for everybody, but they've been exposed to it. But you can really tell the kids that then it clicks with. I taught a class at a STEM school, and within 10 minutes of the class, they barely had the app running. And they were like saying, hey, how do I make a warp point? And I'm like, a warp point? I haven't even talked about making a platform yet. So you can just tell some of these kids that this is a good choice for them. And it's something they can start working on now. That's what I liked about it. It clicked for me. It clicks for the kids.
I really love that. There is actually a program in my daughter's high school, which she's in her mid-20s now, so it's been a little bit, but they had Lego engineering, and it was the same kind of basic types of concepts, and just seeing what the kids would come up with was always really interesting, and hearing about it was always really cool. So it's just interesting to see how the STEM programs are working, and definitely you can see which kids are going to be really immersing themselves in that, and it's always interesting to watch them learn.
Absolutely. And I had that Lego robotics kit with my kids.
So we're discussing the hunters versus the hunted dynamic in your new book, and with you discussing the quester and the Oddish Quester siblings for the first time, what is the core message or feeling you hope that readers take away from this specific adventure?
Wow, that's an interesting question. So the goal of it was to, like I said, give to kids using their imaginations. We've seen movies with dinosaurs, so they're not as serious and mystical. And I think for kids, Bigfoot can be the next mystical thing. And I wanted to create something that would be a little bit like what happened with the Harry Potter books, in that it was written for 12-year-olds. But then adults loved it and got a hold of it. And that's what I wanted to try and do, is create something that kids and adults could love. And I tell people it's a mixture of X-Files and Scooby-Doo, as if Lemony Snicket wrote it. So that's the idea of what it is. And I want people to enjoy reading it. I hate when you talk to kids and they're like, oh, I hate reading. And when you talk to them, and like, well, why do you hate reading? One reason is because their parents never got them reading, never read to them. But the other thing is when they get books at school, the books at school are not fun to read. So they don't like reading. So I wanted to create a book that the kids would like get. Oh my gosh, that was fun. I want to read another one. But that parents that may read it to them go, hey, that was interesting. What else is there to read? And I think it's important to give kids things that they want to read, not just things they're forced to read that they don't like. So that was what I did with the Oddish Quester. It took me a while. I was working with a book coach who's also my editor. and he
and
made
he
a
made a
comment
comment
about one
about one
part of the
part of the
book,
book,
and
and
I
I
pushed
pushed
back a bit.
back
I
a
said,
bit. I
"But
said, "But
that's
that's
exactly what I
exactly what I
want for
want
the
for the
whole
whole
book."
book."
And he
And
said,
he said,
"Well,
"Well,
none of the
none of
rest
the
of the
rest of
book
the
is
book
like
is
that.
like
You
that.
need
You
to
need
take
to
it
take it
out."
out."
And it
And it
clicked with
clicked
me.
with
I
me.
said,
I said,
"Wait a
"Wait a
minute.
minute.
If
If
that's what I
that's what I
want,
want,
but the
but
rest
the
of the
rest
book
of the
isn't
book
like
isn't
that,
like that,
then
then
I
I
need to
need to
make the
make
rest
the
of the
rest
book
of the
like
book
that."
like that."
So
So
that's what
that's
I
what I
did, and
did,
that's
and
where
that's
it
where
came
it came
about.
about.
That makes a lot of sense. So, before we wrap up, we have to talk about the Town Magician series too. You write about Samuel, a boy without magic in a magical world. Whether it's Samuel or the questers facing agents in black, you seem to love an underdog story. Why is that such a powerful theme for you?
Probably
Probably
because
because
growing up,
growing up,
I
I
kind of
kind
felt
of
like
felt like
that.
that.
Our
Our
school,
school,
where I
and where
went
I
to
went to
school in
school
younger
in younger
days,
days,
it
it
was
was
not
not
something that
something
a
that a
nerd
nerd
or a
or a
computer
computer
geek
geek
would
would
fit
fit
well
well
in,
in.
and
And
most of the
most of the
kids were
kids were
not
not
that way.
that
So
way. So
I can
I can
associate
associate
with the
with the
underdog,
underdog, with
the
the
kid that
kid that
feels
feels
bad,
bad,
and
and
something
something
happens that
happens
makes
that
them
makes them
realize their
realize
own
their own
worth.
worth.
Plus, I
Plus, I
wanted to
wanted to
show,
show,
there's
there's
magic in the
magic in the
world,
world,
and this
and
is
this is
literally a
literally a
world
world
that
that
has
has
magic.
magic.
So those
So
are all
those are all
themes
themes
I
I
use
use
quite a
quite
bit
a bit
because I
because
can
I can
relate to
relate
them.
to them. And
I
I
think the Town
Our
Magician
Magician
series
series
started
started
off
off
kind of like
kind of
the
like the
Honest
Honest
Quester. It was
Quester.
a
It was a
short
short
story.
story.
I just
I
wanted
just
to
wanted to
use
use
try and
try and
have
have
something at
something
a
at a
local
local
Harry
Harry
Potter
Potter
Wizarding World
Wizarding World
festival.
festival.
And
And
as I
as I
wrote it,
wrote
it
it,
kept
it kept
growing and
growing and
growing and
growing and
growing. And
growing.
as
And as
that
that
grew,
grew,
I
I
suddenly
suddenly
realized
realized
there's
there's
more
more
stories here.
stories here. So
There's
there's two
main
main
stories
stories
out.
out.
There's
There's
several
several
short
short
stories, and
stories, and
I'm working
I'm
on the
working on the
third
third
book right
book right
now. But
now.
in
But in
between there,
between there, I've got
another
another
in
in
between book
between book
that
that
I'm
I'm
coming out
coming
with
out with
pretty
pretty
soon.
soon.
So
So
it's
it's
just one of
just
those
one of those
stories,
stories that
using my
using my
imagination, I
imagination, I
guess,
guess,
that it
that
just
it just
grew.
grew.
And
And
it's one
it's
of
one
those
of
I
those
hope
I hope
kids
kids
enjoy,
enjoy,
and they
and
can
they can
see the
see the
magic
magic
and say, you know
say,
what,
you
I
know what,
feel
I
like
feel like
Samuel, I
Samuel,
get
I
it.
get it.
And I
And
put a
I
few
put a
other
few other
characters throughout
characters
some of
throughout
the
some of
short
the short
stories that
stories that
hopefully reach
hopefully
other
reach other
kids for
kids for
different
different
reasons.
reasons.
That they say,
That they say,
hey,
hey,
there
there
are
are
good
good
people in the
people in the
world, and
world,
I
and
may
I may
feel like
feel like
this,
this,
but
but
I
I
can
can
find the
find the
people that are
people that are
good,
good,
and
and
I'm
I'm
still
still
worth a
worth a
while in
while
that.
in that.
So it's
So it's
a
a
common theme.
common theme.
That's an awesome message. So, for everyone listening who is ready to dive into this mystery, make sure you pick up your copy of the Bigfoot Case. It is published by Mind Architecture Creative and is available worldwide in print and ebook. I'm going to have the links to all of Essay's books in the show description, including the website. So just go ahead and take a look in the notes and you can find that easily to go grab them and start your adventure today. Essay, I just want to thank you so much for joining me and sharing your expertise today. I've really appreciated your insight.
Well, thank
Well,
you.
thank
It's
you.
been a
It's been a
great
great talk.
To my listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mind of Sai Marie. Until next time, remember, the mind is the most important story we'll ever tell.